Food insecurity and sustainability, similarly to many other social justice topics, are multifaceted issues with complex causes and no easy solution. Food insecurity is defined as a lack of access, at times, for enough to achieve an active, healthy life for all household members, and limited or uncertain availability of nutritionally adequate foods. Thus, food insecure individuals are not always food insecure. Rather, food insecurity may reflect a household's needs to make trade-offs between basic needs such as housing or medical bills versus purchasing nutritionally adequate foods. With a global population expected to approach 10 million by the year 2050, the issue is not food production but food transport, availability, and waste. Groups including those with low socioeconomic status and racial minorities are more likely to experience and be negatively impacted by this issue according to the literature on the topic. Many diverse situations can and do contribute to food insecurity. Job loss, medical bills, and other unexpected expenses can suddenly thrust a family into a state of uncertainty regarding food. Additionally, others are food insecure for long periods of time due to poverty and other factors. Food is a human right. Having inadequate access to food negatively impacts the physical health and quality of life for those who are impacted by the issue.
When people do not have enough food, they can develop serious health problems, such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and obesity.
Many initiatives have been taken to address the issue, but it remains prominent across the country. We wanted to focus on learning about this issue through research and service to become better informed about the issue and what we can do to make a positive impact. While this is an issue everywhere, we decided to conduct our project in New Mexico, where 1 in 6 people struggle with hunger, and a staggering 1 in 4 children struggle with hunger. People facing hunger in New Mexico are estimated to report needing $158 billion more per year to meet their food needs, and New Mexico is the second highest in overall poverty and the highest in child poverty nationwide.
For the next couple of nights, we're going to focus on a growing problem in New Mexico, hunger.
It's no longer just the homeless or unemployed who go hungry. It's families and children.
New Mexico is facing a harsh reality. Right now, people all over our state are going hungry.
It's a number one position that no one's proud of. New rankings showed New Mexico has the most hungry children in the country.
According to a study just released by Feeding America, New Mexico right now has the most hungry children in America. More than 30% of our kids don't know where they're getting their next meal.
Additionally, New Mexico's Hispanic and Native American populations are more likely than non-Hispanic whites to be poor or low income. All of these factors contributed to our interest in food insecurity as a topic at New Mexico specifically.
The planning process was crucial to produce an impactful service learning experience. Our group began by determining what social issue we were most passionate about and sharing our most memorable volunteer experiences. We came to the conclusion that we wanted to focus on food insecurity, which we believe is a significant global issue that has detrimental effects on those affected by it. We researched which states are experiencing higher than average rates of food insecurity and discovered that New Mexico was one of the top states. With this in mind, we decided that we would tackle this issue in New Mexico, so we did more research to become more knowledgeable about the issue at hand and the populations affected. Each person in our group learned about different topics associated with our project, such as food insecurity in New Mexico, its causes and effects, what we could do to approach the issue, and the history, culture, and agriculture of New Mexico, and share the information we learned with each other. By doing this, we were able to understand the populations we would be working with and how we could be better advocates in resolving and preventing food insecurity. In October, we began contacting various organizations in New Mexico whose missions and values we believed aligned with ours. We soon became in contact with 3 organizations: Storehouse ABQ, Rio Grande Community Farm, and Food is Free Albuquerque, and began the planning for our volunteering. We chose to work with multiple organizations to strengthen our understanding on food insecurity and learn about the different approaches one can take to tackle the issue. We researched more about the organizations and created interview questions regarding food insecurity and the role of the organization in approaching the issue. While planning with and learning about the organizations, we worked on budgeting and determining housing and meals in Albuquerque. We also created an itinerary for our trip, taking into account distances between locations and driving times, meals, and breaks to maximize our time in the few days we would be there.
The day after we arrived in New Mexico, we had plans to volunteer for a few hours at Storehouse ABQ.
So my name is Sparkle Watlington. I'm the Executive Director of the Storehouse, New Mexico, and we are the largest food pantry in the state.
The storehouse gives food to about 54,000 people every year. Most of those people are the working poor.
So I didn't want it to feel like storehouse. I want it to feel like store home. That you come to my door, you knock on it, and it's our door, and I say, what is it that you need? You need a hot meal? You need a cane? You need a walker? You need books? What is it that you need? So I think a house is a house until you call it a home, and it feels like a home, and I don't think that that can ever be explained in words unless you're here. It should feel like a place you want to be. I don't want anyone to go without, regardless of who it is. Everybody deserves to have food, and you all came together today, and I'm so proud of you because I think you learned the mission really quickly.
At the storehouse, we did a lot of sorting donations into the various bins where they belonged so they could be sorted out and put on the shelves to be taken home by patrons. We also had some shelving experience. This organization was the only one in which we were able to interact, even if indirectly, with people who have been impacted by the food insecurity issue in New Mexico.
It's all because of our team. If I walk this planet, I don't think I could find better volunteers and better staff.
We have people come from corporate, from schools, from churches. There are individuals that come, but I know for a fact without these people giving their time, we could not keep our doors open.
There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of thought behind having nutritious food and giving people the most amount of resources that we could possibly give them.
They focus on the gap they call the working poor, who don't earn so little to get SNAP or food stamps, but don't make enough to get by. So they offer free food to those who can't afford it.
There are people who really have nothing and they're helped, and there are people who have a lot. And those people that are in the middle who continue to scramble, that lower middle class, those food insecure, I think they just make too much to get the help they need, and that's why we're here. Remember, the storehouse doesn't turn anyone away. We feed everybody.
The storehouse is set up as a normal grocery store to take away from the potential embarrassment someone can feel from needing to rely on a storehouse. This prevents dehumanization and gives the patrons options.
If you're a child and you are eating lunch and you see someone next to you and you wanting to share, here's my business card, throw it in there. Just tell them to go to the storehouse. For people who are your age, they're in college and you're living on ramen, come on down. For those single parents, vets, whatever, don't feel that there is a need that's greater than yours, right? You are the person that we're trying to help. We're trying to help everybody and everyone, so don't feel like you're not the one we want to help.
Something for nothing. It doesn't happen often, but it could. At least that's what a new local nonprofit believes. A growing group that gives away food wants to spread its message even further. News 13's Catherine Azone explains how through growing and sharing, it feeds hundreds for free.
Local Erin Garrison is happy to take what's left.
So we were inspired by the Food is Free project, which started in Austin, Texas, as front yard gardens. And so we just took that, what they had already laid for us, and we created Food is Free Albuquerque. And we set out and we went and we picked all the apples, and we take it to where the people are and we just give it away.
Food is Free, founded in Austin, Texas, harvests extra food from local gardens and hands it out to those in need. Now, so does Erin.
So this is Food is Free Albuquerque, and we believe that fresh food is a human right. I started working with this group about 6 years ago, and we identified that there was a lot of trees in our city that were food bearing, that were just falling on the ground and going to waste. So, and in New Mexico, we're always in the top contenders for the most hungry. So we think we found the solution to a problem.
Erin and Christa, the coordinators, created Food is Free by accident because they wanted to utilize the food growing around the city.
I think it's looking at what you have and asking yourself, who are we not reaching and how can we reach them?
With the discovery of unused fruit trees in the area, they began asking people if they could pick fruit from these fruit trees so the fruit does not go to waste. The unused fruit would go to the people in need, and if the food was not suited for human consumption, it would go to pig farms in the area to help with the sustainability aspect of their mission.
I don't believe that food insecurity has anything to do with there's not enough. It has to do with distribution, which brings us back to creating that new food system that's equitable for everybody. Because we can't go anywhere in America and look and say that there's not enough. There is enough, and I will say that over and over again. There is enough. So until, the whole system changes, it's our job in these communities to show that there's enough and to show that we can create an abundance. on our own.
This organization helps bring fresh produce to people who need it the most, rather than letting it go to waste on the ground.
It's just a simple email, and we'll come out and we'll pick the tree for you, or we can show you where to take the food. Yeah.
To a food bank or to your place or wherever it may be needed.
Exactly. So we can give you the proper avenues where to take your excess.
While we were in Albuquerque, we helped find new patrons to provide more fruit-bearing plants for the people in need.
People like Sue, who've opened their backyards to Erin and her volunteers to help fight hunger in New Mexico.
We walked door to door and asked people if they had any fruit-bearing plants, such as apples, pears, plums, or anything with a nice fruit layer to it. Once people understood what we were asking, then they were very happy and very willing to tell us about their trees. Most of the people that did have trees with viable fruit were willing to let us take fruit off it during harvesting season. We went around to roughly 2 different neighborhoods, maybe 3, asking people about their trees or fruit-bearing plants and if they were willing to donate the food to a good cause. And thankfully, for most of the people that we did talk to, they're happy to let us use it.
Overall, fresh food is a human right, period. I believe that everybody, no matter what their socioeconomic status is, no matter their age, their gender, every person deserves fresh food.
Rio Grande Community Farm is a non-profit urban farm located in the Los Poblanos open space in the city of Albuquerque. The Rio Grande farm manages 50 of the 138-acre open space, and since the 90s, this land has been transformed from a neglected space to community gardens, wildlife habitat, and certified organic croplands.
It's a wonderful space. It's 138 acres, and we're right in the middle of, an urban area. We are like the oldest, largest urban garden in the United States. We're kind of like a little treasure in the middle of Albuquerque.
We worked with the community farm coordinator. His name is Kelvin Shank. Kelvin was just really insightful and knowledgeable about the space. He was so knowledgeable about its history, past and present, and just farming in general.
Basically, this is just a retirement job for me, but I love the area, and I love what I'm doing and getting to do working with all these different incubators that you're going to hear about over the weekend. As I work to meet the community aspect of our mission statement. We do also the wildlife habitat, which is well established, and a lot of it's been established for a long period of time. We do the urban agriculture part, so and we do stress sustainability over, say, like organic practices and other types of impacts farming-wise. You're going to hear the sustainability strand throughout that. We do really well with the education part, bringing in groups, whether of all different ages. Because of the greenhouse and because of the infrastructure here, we're able to meet the needs of a lot of different groups.
While we were there, we had the opportunity to paint some signs that promoted the gardens. We also painted some tables and helped organize and get the greenhouse ready for their planting season. We cleaned up. It was really nice to see the greenhouse go from a little bit disorganized to seeing how much of an impact we had there in organizing it and getting it ready. And we even had the opportunity to plant some seeds while we were there, which was super fun.
Well, as we get out and about today, because I do want to take everybody over to the community garden.
He took us on a walk around some of the open space and showed us the community gardens and talked to us about farming in the space and what Rio Grande does.
So as an open space, it impacts the community tremendously.
Among the goals of the Rio Grande Community Farm are developing sustainable agriculture, growing food with and for the community, providing education and training in agriculture, enhancing urban wildlife habitat, and celebrating the farming community.
That whole cultural part is always important to remember. And I believe in integration is a philosophy, and accessibility. We have all these different programs that are teaching people how to farm in an urban environment. Hands in the dirt, there might be a little bit of learning there. It's really, safety, fun, and then if they learn something, all the better. We have an herb incubator. The world's largest herb tincture maker here is in Albuquerque. And so, we teach people, different herb strategies that financially make sense here in Albuquerque, so that they have more growers that are kind of hitting the ground running with those. So using all these different programs to try to meet their needs. So we're taking those strategies that we're teaching here, and then being able to generalize them so it goes with them. If we can't give them something here that travels with them, then we're not doing our job. That's really, has to go with them.
He answered a lot of our questions about the space. He taught us about its impacts. It was really just a great time to kind of have dialogue and talk to him about the impacts of organizations like this.
Right here, you're in the North Valley. You're in an area that is gentrified over the last 20 years, and what's probably considered a very affluent community right here. And so food insecurity right here doesn't have a lot of impact. But what we do with taking advantage of our land is train those farmers, those growers who are living in the areas that have more food insecurity.
The Blue Chip Leadership Program has prepared us for this service learning experience by providing us with the skills, knowledge, and confidence due time of this service learning trip to face the challenge head-on with enthusiasm and commitment.
Among the services they offer, the Blue Chip Leadership Program promotes team building, community service, and professional development.
While away on this service learning trip, we reflected a lot on our 4 years with Blue Chip and all the practical and important skills and life lessons it has taught us, such as how to become an inclusive leader who promotes positive social change.
Teamwork and professionalism are among the qualities they've refined since joining Blue Chip their freshman year.
Initially, when I first started, I didn't know anyone going to the U of A, but going through this program, I've been able to take on leadership opportunities.
Throughout our 4 years, we have explored topics of diversity, design thinking, social justice, as well as an inclusive and ethical leadership, discovering our own leadership voice as a result.
There's a saying in Blue Chip that what you put in is what you get out, and I think all of us have put in a substantial amount and received a lot back.
This service learning trip provided us the chance to take these learned skills and apply them to real-world issues engaging with a community of our choosing.
During our service trip regarding food insecurity in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we learned a lot and we want to reflect on that.
This trip was impactful because I was able to see the true implications of community partnership and active service.
One of my biggest takeaways from volunteering with these organizations was recognizing that there is no one right answer to address a social issue. Each organization we worked with had a similar goal of helping people experiencing food insecurity and educating others on this issue.
Working with our 3 organizations gave me pride that I had the ability to work with others and curate a trip that had meaning and would be impactful even after I left.
At Storehouse APQ, our biases regarding who is affected by food insecurity were challenged. We learned that food insecurity affects a vast group of audiences, including those with jobs, homes, and other things. This combated our original assumption of what food insecurity was and who it affected.
I do think in my lifetime food insecurity will be gone. I think that we will figure out a better solution, and I think the solution is you, right? You see the problem, and I think that I see people who come in, and your generation has done a lot of critical thinking. Millennials also like to give back time rather than money, and I think that that's critical to solving the problem, because if you are immersed in the problem, you can see it through other people's eyes, and you can try to fix it. So for sure, I think within the next few decades, food insecurity will be gone.
Actually being there and volunteering together and seeing how the volunteering and the work and the learning brought everyone together. At Rio Grande, we learned that the underlying mechanisms of food insecurity include lack of access to food and other risk factors, which are poor health care and homelessness. One way to address these mechanisms is via education on how to access healthy food and better one's health.
Rio Grande, it was a farming community. You didn't need permits or anything. You just needed permission. And you got to farm, you got to learn, you got to be educated.
At Food is Free, we learned that our personal actions impact the greater picture regarding food insecurity, food waste, climate change, and canopy degradation.
I really learned to appreciate what I have on this trip. I've been fortunate where many others have not in never having to worry about where my next meal is coming from. I learned about the different ways we contribute to the issue and the untapped resources that I never would have considered. It was really eye-opening.
I'm so grateful that I was able to be exposed to this issue on such a close level with other Blue Chip students.
We have all been able to grow and hone our leadership skills, and this trip was the perfect finisher to those incredible 4 years.
We learned that by being cognizant of our choices, supporting local organizations, and learning about these issues, we can minimize these conflicts. As you can see, we learned a lot from our trip and continue reflecting on what we've learned throughout our life.
All right, Blue Chippers, my thanks to all of you.
Thank you.